there is an opportunity to explore different topics within the project-based approach. And the excitement that children show during that process makes this learning really enjoyable experience for them.
And I would also like to add the impact for us teachers as professionals doing eTwinning projects and the eTwinning platform offer great opportunities for professional development.
I totally agree with the fact that people we work with in eTwinning and entire process of collaboration can bring a huge change to our teaching for sure. My teaching style is completely different nowadays. I can see that I turned from the teacher-centered perspective into a child-centered approach. Now I know more how to use outdoors creatively, how to let children explore more freely and truly participate in a project.
eTwinning serves as a platform for collaboration and learning from colleagues in Europe. And we have not only been doing eTwinning projects together, we have also been doing Erasmus projects. We have explored topics such as literacy and democracy, and now recently inclusion and sensory integration. And I really do think that this multicultural context adds to the discussion and our understanding of these different topics.
When educators are improving their work, it benefits the children. At last, these are children at the center of the process.
As the children are not able to collaborate in the sense of managing different ICT tools by themselves, they are dependent on their teacher in this sense. But they are introduced to the possibilities of digital technology. They do meet other cultures, other languages, and other contexts, and they experience diversity, but also inclusion.
But I would say that children also gain something we do not maybe value as much, which is the awareness of coexistence. That sounds seriously, but through project activities, they can realize that other children from the other group, they really exist somewhere there. And more, they are almost the same. So that experience for me later on, of course, it turns them into first steps of collaboration when they are more independent. And it can be based on virtual work with ICT tools. I would mention also sharing cultural treasure, as it's really beneficial for children too. Because when we share our cultures and enjoy that so much while playing, children are not separated into countries anymore, but they live in the same world. I personally got so fascinated in Iceland.
And it was so great because, of course, your children were speaking in Polish, and but that didn't matter. They totally understood everything that was going on. eTwinning projects, they do have a tendency to create mutual understanding and widen our perspectives.
That was Mariya Montessori, who said once that when we educate to cooperate and be in solidarity with one another, that day we will be educating for peace. So that's what we do every day, actually. I really consider doing these eTwinning projects and setting up the space for collaboration with other countries as something meaningful, because in a way, it's education for peace. It's worth to mention the impact of the project and its benefits for children with special needs. I can admit that they also become very involved, and they even visibly grow with skills.
Well, schools today are supposed to be including and open to everyone, and everyone needs to feel the sense of belonging and to realize their strength and to have the possibility to thrive and prosper, and that they have something to bring forward to the group.
The surprising thing is that whatever the topic is, it brings opportunities to the children to explore their individual abilities and gain self-confidence while the process. I can remember we took part in the project, and there was the boy with autism spectrum, and he didn't feel as strange to take part in some activities. But then we realized that his memory is really great and wide. So he could use that strength by being an actor in our project theater. And he really felt that as his strong point. So he brought that into another activities in our classroom. And I know that he brought it also to school.
Yes, and considering our now ongoing Erasmus project, Inclusion through Sensory Integration, where we are emphasizing how the children learn through their senses, it is something that comes natural for the children and that they all have in common. eTwinning offers a platform for the children to discover diversity and therefore also inclusion.
Generally, thanks to eTwinning, we speak the same language of joy and creativity, sometimes done in a sensory way, according to children's needs. Um, as we share the same word, there is always the way to communicate and to do things together. I'm still for doing that.
Yes, and I am too, for sure. It has been so great to have you here and to be able to discuss with you these different topics. Thank you, Anja.
Thank you. That's a pleasure always. See ya.
Dear eTwinners, dear participants, dear viewers and teachers of this live stream, welcome to the eTwinning Annual Conference 2022. My name is Christos and I will be your host for the first part of tonight's event. 2022, what a heavy year. Pandemic, climate change, and the illegal Russian invasion of Ukraine. It is surely difficult to keep positive and always look at the bright side of life. At the same time, one would think, isn't it the duty of educators to prepare pupils for the future? And when we are talking about future, we are not talking just about any future, but a future that will be able to accommodate their dreams and needs. In other words, the show must go on. For this year of all years, we decided also to focus on the future. 2022 revolved around the annual theme, Our Future, Beautiful, Sustainable, Together, Schools and the New European Bauhaus. We invited teachers and their students to focus on their vision of a dream school that will be built on the values of inclusion, beauty, and sustainability. Inclusion, because it instigates understanding and therefore it promotes peace. Beauty, because it encourages us to constantly find ways to make our lives easier and more pleasing. And finally, sustainability, because through it we learn how to meet our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. Even in the darkest of hours, it is important to always look ahead. As a Chinese proverb says, if you're planning for a year, sow rice. If you're planning for a decade, plant trees. And if you're planning for a lifetime, educate people. Dear eTwinners, since 2005, in this community, the eTwinning community, you have been educating people, and we believe in you and your work. Together with you, we have been planning for a beautiful, inclusive, and sustainable future, and we thank you for your vision. Now, before continuing on with this evening, I would like to just walk you through what you are going to see today. This evening, we have prepared for you an exciting event during which you will receive a warm welcome from Mariya Koleva, Deputy Head of Cabinet of Commissioner Mariya Gabriel for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth. One more warm welcome from the National Support Organizations of eTwinning, a very informative keynote address by Futurist and Humanist Gerd Leonhard. After the keynote address, you will be kindly dismissed for about 15 minutes to go refresh yourselves and then come back for the eTwinning European Prize Award ceremony presented by Irini Pateraki. But now I think it's time to open the conference officially and see a video message that has been prepared by Mariya Koleva, Deputy Head of Cabinet of Commissioner Mariya Gabriel for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth. And let's watch it together.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to address you today on behalf of Commissioner Mariya Gabriel. She cannot deliver this message in person, but she still cannot miss the chance to send a few words of encouragement and gratitude to your phenomenal community. So let me share the Commissioner's words with you. We are having a difficult couple of years, but the fact that we are together gives us the feeling of hope. And it is precisely in the spirit of hope and co-creation that we are focusing on the new European Bauhaus this year. This initiative is an invitation to explore how we can improve our living spaces, our societies, becoming greener, more inclusive and more beautiful. For young people, schools are a second home, places where we live, learn and dream. But living, learning and dreaming are not passive activities, and young people should be empowered to build their community, just as we all have an obligation to make society a little better every day. Commissioner Gabriel is proud that we are publishing the 2022 eTwinning book in all our languages today, exploring 5 case studies on your experiences. We trust you will find it useful for your work and take much inspiration from it. And we want to thank all eTwinners, especially the teachers and pupils who were involved in this project. This is precisely what it looks like to make school and indeed society a little better. And it is something that this community keeps doing exceedingly well. Look at last year, when you focused on promoting media literacy and tackling disinformation. During the annual conference, we organized a workshop to understand the views of teachers on their wants and needs when it comes to addressing these issues in the classroom. You answered, and we heard you. Just last week, we launched our guidelines for teachers and educators on tackling disinformation and promoting digital literacy through education and training. They bring together pedagogy and practice, providing practical teaching and learning tips, activity plans, and tools for assessment. They cover how to better understand the various aspects of disinformation, from the economic to the technical and the ethical. They include definitions of key concepts and provide insight on how education can help young people become active and critically minded digital citizens. Let me also take this opportunity to highlight another set of guidelines to the attention of teachers and educators. These are the guidelines on the ethical use of artificial intelligence and data. Today, artificial intelligence systems are part of our everyday lives. They have great potential to transform education and training for students, teachers, and school staff. Artificial intelligence could help to reduce early school leaving, to compensate for learning difficulties, and to support teachers with differentiated or individualized learning. However, the use of artificial intelligence and data comes with certain privacy, security, and safety risks, especially when it involves underage people. With these new guidelines, we aim to help teachers and educators understand the potential that the applications of artificial intelligence and data have in education and training, and to help them identify and mitigate the risks. These guidelines will be published in just a few days, on the 25th, and we hope they are valuable as you prepare for next year's theme, which is Innovation and Education. After all, we can think of no better community to explore innovation than the eTwinning community. You have come together over and over again, doing these things different, improving, and becoming one of the best examples of you in the classroom. These are the words of Commissioner Gabriel addressed to you. Thank you so much for your commitment. I wish you a very good conference.
Many thanks to Mariya Koleva for her kind words and support she shows actively to the participants of eTwinning, and for announcing also the eTwinning book. And I'm taking this opportunity to also inform you that we are excited and delighted that the eTwinning book of this year, Our Future, Beautiful, Sustainable Together, eTwinning and the New European Bauhaus, is now public and online. You will find it on the European School Education platform. Now, moving on, we should talk to you about the national support organizations. For those who don't know, the national support organizations of eTwinning are actually the backbone of eTwinning, and they do a lot of things for eTwinning participants in their countries. They are those to whom teachers turn when they need support, and they're the ones who organize eTwinning national events, professional development, they give national quality labels, and many more. The list is really long. And today, they have actually prepared a very important message that I'm also very curious to see. So let's watch it together.
Könder comunitare. Seriste yönümlü.
Solnări.
Bienveillant. Chronic. Grijovny.
Poticajna.
Democratico.
Inovatywna.
Najgolena. Jomstava.
Accueillance.
Hierolik. Aktiv. Azrobino.
Támogató.
Nutilă. Cultura.
Sostenibile. Macchina.
Productivis.
Mutah.
Sportlich.
Sveika.
Umweltfreundlich.
Nadifa.
Verde.
Inkluzivno.
Projektorientert.
Kolorowa.
Elveta.
Masa. Uzor drugima. Podporująca mój talent. Babalna.
Creativa.
Kürvänlig.
Vriendelijk.
Mutanawiya. Eğlencelidir.
Wow. Many thanks to the national support organizations of eTwinning for actually offering us this cuteness attack, literally. It's always refreshing seeing like young faces on the screen, and also like many thanks to the parents and the teachers for organizing this, and for also like for the parents especially giving their consent. So we have one more video to show you, which unfortunately it's not as cute as the previous one, but nevertheless very important. And this video, it's about the supportive partners of the European School Education Platform. Supportive partners are actually our friends. They are bodies, organizations, and initiatives that share the values and the objectives of eTwinning and the European School Education Platform. The collaboration between eTwinning and its supportive partners aims to share their expertise to teachers through online seminars, workshops, and disseminating high-quality material. Let's watch them together. A nice informative video about our friends. And now, finally, it's the moment, and I'm delighted to present Gerd Leonhard. Gerd Leonhard looks beyond conventional futurism. He zeroes in on what the future holds of humanity and how we will create the future we want. I think the most appropriate person to actually give a keynote address for this annual conference. Gerd Leonhard has prepared for us a keynote address, and sharing with us his vision on how he imagines the future of education. So let's watch it together, and let's come back with some challenging questions for him.
Greetings, I'm Gerd Leonhard, Futurist in Zurich, Switzerland. Welcome to the online annual conference 2022, Imagining Education in the Future, Beautiful, Sustainable, and Together. It's my great pleasure to be providing a keynote for you guys today and have a conversation with you later about the future of education. This is a very, very passion-loaded topic for me. I think it's really crucial that we look at how we educate our kids, how we educate ourselves, of course, for that matter, going forward, because the future is rapidly arriving faster than we've ever thought. Many people think about the future today kind of like this, like it's not looking too rosy, right? It kind of looks like everything around us is falling apart, climate change and of course the war and inflation and everything. But I think really what's happening here is that we're going through a tremendous amount of reboot, right? We're going through a reset of society. Also, of course, millennials, Gen Y, taken over in the next couple of years. That's going to provide a huge impetus. In my view, it kind of feels like the doors are closing sometimes, but I think they're kind of opening into a new future. The doors aren't closing, they are opening. We're going to solve climate change. It is scientifically and technologically possible. we're going to have technology to solve most of our daily problems like water, food, energy, even disease. Right? So I always say the future is better than we think. Right? The future is not lousy. The future has great potential. And I want, for the next generation, I want to be a good ancestor. I want to be able to provide a hint into the good future. And I think this is why education is so crucial. And it's about shaping that future and giving our kids the ability to prosper and flourish in the future. Right? This is so crucial. And of course, to be happy, right? To self-realize, to do things that ultimately gets them to think about the future as a positive thing. There's a great saying by American futurist Barbara Hubbard, rest in peace. She said, "As you see the future, so you act, and as you act, so you become." That is just so important. This is something we have to ingrain in primary and secondary education, and of course later in university as well. We have to have a positive outlook of the future. The future belongs to optimists. We're looking at this scenario, what's happening in technology all around us. You know, we're leaping into the future. Basically, very few things are now becoming impossible or still staying impossible, right? I mean, 30 linear steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on, would just get me across the room, but we're leaping exponentially. 30 exponential steps will take you 26 times around the world. That's the difference in exponential thinking. This is what Moore's law, Metcalfe's law, Wright's law, and so on really describe as technology is leaping. So today we're at 4. Right? And in just 10 years, we're at 256, right? That's almost like 80x of what we are today. And 20 years, that's 1 million. Think about that for a minute. We're going to prepare our kids for a world that's 1 million times as different as what we have here today, right now with us. And this is something to think about as we're moving into this exponential change scenario, this being 4, and we're at the leaping point. The World Economic Forum has described all the things that have changed since COVID, and it's been mind-boggling, right? Basically, social cohesion, livelihood crisis, climate action failure, and on the list goes on and on and on, challenge after challenge. But, of course, you know, being educators, that every challenge is also an opportunity, and we grow with it, right? It's the effort that makes us leap into the future. It doesn't come by itself. The next 10 years will bring more change than the previous 100 years. And really what it is, I call this kind of a perma-change, right? Basically, the ongoing discussion about change is everywhere. And that's not going to change. I mean, look around you, no matter where you are in the world, it's perma-change time, right? Climate change, inflation, energy, medical merging with biology and technology, right? And online banking, digital money. Right? The next 10 years, great opportunities, I believe, much bigger than the challenges, but we have to have the right policy. This is where, of course, education comes in as well. This exponential thing is going to be quite a challenge, I think, for us to implement. And if you've been teaching for 20 or 30 years, you know, this is a huge challenge because you've learned what works and what doesn't. And now all of a sudden, things don't work the same way anymore. I mean, just look at the music business. When I was a musician and producer for a long time, we made records. Today, you don't make records, right? You push a button and it goes up on Spotify or Apple or some podcast or something, right? And you hope to monetize through streaming and through gigs. A whole different thing. But, you know, bottom line is today, 180 million people pay roughly $10 a month for music. So there is hope on the other end of that equation, right? So in this permanent change scenario, we have to ask a crucial question. Is the current system of education, whether it's kindergarten or primary, secondary, or of course university, MBA, colleges, right? Is this traditional model still fit for this exponential permanent change world? And the answer, in my view, is it's not. We're learning things that used to be true, and they still are true, but we're going into the future and we're leaping, right? I mean, in a world that's leaping, we're crawling with education, right? I mean, we're doing things when I remember, you know, we're learning stuff for later, downloading information for later. And this can continue in a world that's primarily what I call VUCA, right? And you probably know the word from the military, right? It's this kind of chaos, right? And now we have to learn how to flip the VUCA, right? We have to go back and say, okay, And this kind of definition of our future clearly is going to challenge us when we look at what it means, right? This whole discussion about volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, and now all of a sudden it's flipping the VUCA. That's what we need, right? This is what we need education to do. Velocity, unorthodoxy, co-creation, and the good old American word, awesomeness. I mean, I live in Zurich in Switzerland, I'm German, but I love the American expression here, awesomeness. That is going to be so important to teach our kids. We have to be fast, we have to invent, we have to be resilient. I mean, the world is going to be about resilience. And that the future jobs aren't going to be ready for us to take or ready for our kids to take, right? They have to be made, right? Most of the jobs in the future haven't even been invented yet. Look around you. Social media, 21 million people work on social media. Job didn't exist 15 years ago. Hundreds of millions of people will have jobs in the new climate technology, climate change, anti-climate change, global warming action plan that's being unrolled from the US, and of course Europe been leading on this for a long time. That is going to be providing a huge amount of new work and new employment. So we're heading into this future that is very much technological governed, right, and impacted. Whether it's cloud computing or 3D printing or artificial intelligence, you know about all these things, and I won't talk about this too much, but you can look it up at gerdsgamechangers.com, the technological game changers, and at megashifts.digital, which is chapter 3 in my book, The Megashifts. You can download it for free at megashifts.digital in 10 languages, so you get more of an idea. But these are the megashifts, right? Cognification, machines are getting smart, virtualization, the metaverse, virtual reality, mobilization. I mean, basically what's called screenification. Everything is on the screen. Take a look at this, but this is what's happening, right? We are moving into a world of technology being absolutely everywhere. And of course, you know, if you look at the statistics like this one, you know, we're moving into a world where essentially all of the cost reduction in technology is just mind-boggling. You know, how technology is getting cheaper and cheaper, except of course for the iPhone. But you know, this is going to mean that we can do virtual things. We can learn virtually. We're going to be able to afford things that were unaffordable until now. We have these innovation platforms like genome sequencing and mobile connected devices, energy storage, promising tens of millions of entirely new jobs. We have artificial intelligence will help us to amplify what we do and be more efficient. You see paralegals in office and admin support 4.5x as efficient as before. And I talked about this earlier. I mean, just this right here is, of course, the ticket to a pretty powerful future when we talk about what kind of new jobs we have. But we have to get ready for this. And how we're going to get ready? We're not going to get ready with traditional education. We're going to get ready with new kinds of education, with new ways of thinking, with new creativity, with imagination, not just with the good old logic of the past. You see this kind of paradigm shift that we see all around here, and hat tip to Peter Leiden, my futurist friend. You know, basically we're moving into the mega challenge, you know, where it's going from the economy to climate change, from carbon to clean, from transportation to electric, and culture, millennial centric. I mean, let's zoom in a little bit on this chart so you can see it a little bit better, right? All these paradigm shifts, right? Economics, right? Capitalism, work, production. You can download the slide here later and pin it on your wall if you want, right? But basically, how are our kids going to deal with this world? This is all happening now. It got started before, but it's just mind-boggling warp drive change, right? Our kids have to be ingenious. They have to invent. They have to have hope. They have to hyper-collaborate, right? They have to not just know things, they have to make up things. Right? And this is going to be entirely different. Our education is suitable for a world that's organized. Now, this world isn't. It's chaos, it's fast opportunity, it's not survival of the fittest anymore, but survival of the friendliest, survival of the most collaborative. We can see that right now playing out in front of our very eyes. Nobody around the world can stand by themselves when it's about issues like war, when it's about issues like economics and food, right? And I mean, we're all connected on this one planet for the time being. Maybe that will change in 20 or 30 years, right? But we have paradigm shifts, and we have to concede with that we urgently need to reboot education to accommodate these paradigm shifts. And clearly we're moving into a world that's kind of like Minority Report, where we are able to go inside information and pull it out, and do miraculous things with technology to learn and understand stuff much, much faster. And this was an amazing foresightful clip, from back then. Science fiction is becoming science fact, and very soon we're going into the sort of virtual reality metaverse scenario. This is Facebook's workplace scenario of the future with holograms and all this. Of course, it's futuristic. Not quite here. It's going to take some time, but I mean, clearly we're seeing those opportunities in learning and education and training. I believe virtual training will be everywhere, but it will not anywhere close to substitutional for the other ways of training. It'll be a hybrid world, and clearly people are learning with other people, right? We're learning from each other, and we're learning with each other, not just through screens. Screens are a good way of approximation, but they're, in my view, not a substitute for the reality behind the screen. But what happens here clearly is we have revolutions. First, the digital revolution, the connected cows here in Switzerland. The cows are even connected for better automated milking. The sustainability revolution. Green is the new digital. If you haven't noticed, this is the #1 trend in the world. And then finally, we have this kind of human revolution. I sometimes call that the human renaissance, where all of a sudden we're saying, this is great, we have all this tech, but we really do need it to be human-centric. Look what's happening in social media. Right? Who still trusts Facebook? We use Facebook, we don't really have much of a choice. I don't, but most people do. And now is the question, do we trust them? Right? And what are we asking from them? People, planet, purpose, prosperity, protecting humanity, protecting our data, protecting ourselves. That's becoming a big topic, right? So digital revolution, sustainable revolution, human revolution, a human renaissance. And that's going to be amazing for education. Look for education to get funding, a lot more funding than ever before in the next couple of years, no matter where you are on the planet. Eventually, of course, you'll have big enterprises also dealing with education. That's already in the wings, and for example, in the Middle East and so on. But basically, the next Google will be in education, and secondary and of course universities, but also primary everywhere. And we have to make sure that we're on the right track there. I mean, we're going from the work revolution, digital, sustainable, green, everything, to the education revolution. And make no mistake about this. If I'm talking about the green revolution, I really talk about a revolution. In a few years, we're going to look at the oil and gas industry as essentially akin to criminal activities. Because what we have now is climate emergency. And we're going to spend a lot of money, some people say $150 trillion to solve this problem, because we have to and we can solve the problem in the next decade. Solving in the sense of not getting to 4 or 5 degrees warming. That'll be a long time process until we can reverse that. Right? But clearly we're living in a world where we are surrounded by technology, men and women, of course. Sorry, I don't only have a man here. Right? Big data, cloud computing, mobile devices, 5G, 10G. In 2030, 9 billion people will be online at high-speed internet. Right? And at much lower cost as today. It'll be like air, basically. Right? So I think it's safe to say that business as usual is dead or dying. Because everything changes when we do this. Right? I mean, look at how people buy things. Now, it used to be the store, now it's online and even social selling, social retail in China through social networks becoming a very big deal. And of course, environment and how we do everything. Right? Business as usual is dead or dying. We can see that all around us. And of course, that also means work as usual is dead or dying. We're going to make up our own jobs. We're going to work virtually. We're going to work in the cloud. We're going to be independent of countries and territories, but at the same time, we're going to want to see other people. So there'll be this hybrid move as to how we can work, and all the new jobs that are unfolding. Dell Technologies once published a report 2 years ago, 70% of all new jobs are not even invented yet. I mean, our kids going to school are going to have to invent their own job, not like us. These jobs don't exist. You make your own job. And one can only hope that we have more hybrid jobs in the future and with equal opportunity around the world in a sort of social security infrastructure that is global. But work as usual is dead or dying. That means education as usual is dead or dying. where we need to change education to be with that new paradigm of work, to get people excited about the future. We don't want people doing this, right? Saying like, you know, I don't like the future. I would rather sort of hide out somewhere, right? We don't need that from our students and people in school. And basically, it has to be, you know, we have to look at this and say, well, great education means seeing, hearing, and visioning and creating the future, right? I mean, we have to understand the future first, not predict it, but observe it, right? And then create it. I mean, this is the most crucial thing in schools, is the creating the future, not just waiting for it. The future doesn't just fall down on us, right? It's not created in Silicon Valley or in Beijing, right? Well, it is created in the sense of kicked off, but it's really up to us what we're going to do with it, right? We have to be aware of the future. We have to have a future mindset, as I call it. Because one of the key challenges here is humans and machines are kind of converging, right? I mean, we're basically looking at more and more machines doing things that we used to do. What's called the singularity in 2050, where machines can do pretty much anything that we used to do. But that could be a blessing. Think about all of the dirty, dull, and dangerous work that we could give to machines and what they could be doing with this. It could also be tough, because basically the reality is that pretty much anything that can be digitized, automated, virtualized will be. It's the end of routine, and that is, for example, filing taxes. Doing financial advisory work, driving a car to some degree is routine, right? Of course, welding, working in a factory and so on. A lot of people will be freed up, parenthesis, in this process to where we have to move on to different jobs, right? Or get paid not to work, which is the basic income discussion we've had in many countries, including Canada and here in Switzerland. But really what is happening is that technology creates abundance, right? Data, information, explicit knowledge. Technology has that. I mean, I can sit down right now, I can ask IBM Watson about the future of pretty much anything, right? And then I can say, well, you know, what would happen if I was able to use technology to predict and help me and figure this out, for example, being a doctor or a dentist, right? That's going to change the structure of our jobs a lot. We have to move up the food chain and do things that machines can't do. Right? And that's not so difficult, right? As machines become more intelligent, parenthesis, I would say smart, right? They may take over most routines. Like, for example, in the laboratory work or analysis of X-rays or MRI machines and so on. But human-only attributes will become basically super valuable. Compassion, empathy, storytelling, foresight, negotiation, creativity, imagination, intuition, design. Right? I mean, these things are, that's what we do, that's what humans do. Here's a list of jobs that may be unfolding there. A social well-being agent, an ethics specialist, a job and training inventor, a rewilderer, somebody who is like leading people back to nature. And of course, you know, tens of millions, like I said earlier, new jobs in this entire revolution, digital revolution, of course, and the sustainable revolution and the human revolution, which is going to bring education to the peak of activities again, and be a great revival, I think, for most of us in this turf. So AI, artificial intelligence, would change the job market, of course, because the dirty, dull, and dangerous jobs can be done by machines, and some of those are down here: public administration, transportation, storage, obviously manufacturing. Right? But look at the growth up here: health, scientific, technical, communications, hospitality, and education. I think that is actually underrated on this chart. Right? We're going to see lots and lots of new development here. Machines are for answers and humans are for questions. That's something we have to keep in mind. We need to ask more questions in education. We need to have an environment that encourages not just swallowing information so that we can use it later. Right? Humans are for questions. We have to discuss and debate and think holistically and think across disciplines, across topics and subject matters. That is going to be so crucial, because this is the bottom line. We're not going to compete well with machines. If you work like a robot will take your job. And we don't want our kids to work like robots, and we certainly don't want them to learn like a robot, because if you work like a robot, you will end up working for the robots. And so what we need to do is to take a step away from this and say, what does it mean to have education that's not robotic, right? Futurist, polymath, Buckminster Fuller, a really amazing guy that I learned a lot from his books, including Spaceship Earth, that you should read. He says all children, this was 1971, right? All children are born geniuses, but most of them are swiftly and inadvertently de-geniused by grown-ups. That's what we do in school, right? We de-genius our kids. That's not a good idea. Of course, that's not happening in every school, right? There are exceptions, Finland, Sweden, Switzerland, and of course many, many places around the world. But we need to put the genius back into education and not just focus on functionality and performance, right? So we have to go away from this idea of instruction to the idea of discovery and creation. Marshall McLuhan, famous media theorist and futurist, says education must shift from instruction, right, to discovery, the probing and exploring, the recognition of the language of forms. Again, that was 1974, right? We're finally going to get around to this because technology makes that possible, but we have to have the right policy. The educational policy that allows discovery and creation, not just rote learning, because, you know, the reality is machines will do things like cloud biology, finding new medications, testing out things, you know, the road work, the commodity work that we really shouldn't be doing or mustn't be doing in the future, even though some of it may be entertaining, right? Here's a new pyramid. Very, very important, the pyramid of work, right? Down here, data, information, intellectual knowledge. That is kind of machine turf, right? Machines know things. Yeah? You heard about deep learning, machine learning, and so on. But the other stuff that's on top of it, right? The deeper knowledge right here, the tacit information, the things that we just know, the understand, the wisdom, the purpose, the consciousness, the human agency. That's what makes us human. And that's what we have to teach. And how do we teach that? Well, we don't just teach it by reading books, right? We teach that by interaction. This is the human-only turf, right? That's why that's so important that we teach that to our kids, how to be more human and how to do sort of more project-based learning, which has been discussed a lot in the past. Practice, context, subject knowledge, technology, theory, all in one. Inclusive, holistic, right? There's no secret that many things like Rudolf Steiner education and anthroposophical education have already probed in this direction and given us a blueprint. And it's also quite clear that, you know, if you're looking at what's happening in the US, for example, many leaders in technology come from art school, right? It is going to be about art and science, as Steve Jobs said, to bring them together into this kind of new future. And so really what it is this combination of STEM, you know, science, technology, engineering, math, and we've always fared well by doing a lot of work in there. But on the other hand, let's bring back the humanities, right? I mean, this is what it's all about. It's about humanity, ethics, creativity, imagination, opinions, foresight, creativity, making up stuff, creating things, right? We're going from the extractive economy of logic to the creative economy, the experience economy. And so important, and we're looking again at this idea of problem-based learning, learning and applying to solve the problem, not just learning something that we can pull out of our head later. You know, we have to be resilient, agile. I mean, this is the world that we're in, the complete VUCA world. That's not going to change. No matter where you live in the world, you're going to need to invent. How do we get our kids to invent and to get excited about the future and try to make a very, very big difference? We're not going to do it by teaching kids, or adults for that matter, to be hyper efficient. Efficiency is great, but in the end, you know, efficiency is only correct if it has the right target. You know, we're going to go from this idea of efficiency and performance and optimization to human agency, consciousness, imagination, intuition, empowerment. Right? How do we teach that to our kids? Well, we have to let them try things, right? We have to allow for errors. You know, we have to allow for opinions. We have to develop personalities, not just skills. This is not going to be about knowing how to program or how to do a spreadsheet or how to do any sort of technical thing. That's good to know. Of course, is it good to know, for example, languages as well. But we have to understand that in this world, again, like I said, you know, we have to go away from this idea of responding to this by having more rote learning, right? Velocity, unorthodoxy, co-creation, awesomeness. That's going to be the new curriculum, which way we have to go. Imagine the future, says C.K. Prahalat, may be more important than analyzing the past. Companies today are no longer resource bound, they are imagination bound. And to that I would add countries are imagination bound. It's not going to be about what we produce and what kind of, how much oil we have or what kind of military power we have. It's going to be about our imagination. And this is what we have to teach our kids. Imagination, creativity, humanity, consciousness, human agency, right? There's been a great saying by some Zen masters saying that basically knowledge is useless without wisdom. And wisdom is useless without consciousness. So, this is something we have to bring into our education and not just pursue sort of book knowledge, right? So here's a couple bullets to send you off into that future that we can discuss later. First, prioritize imagination, intuition, and human-only skills. Prioritize in the way of saying, okay, of course, everybody has different talents. It should be STEM and HECI. Like I said earlier, humanity, ethics, creativity, imagination. Bring back the humanities. Make the scientists also do humanities. Make the humanists also study engineering. That would be a complete education. Right? And when we have kids, we have to figure out exactly what is their talent, which way are they headed, what should they be learning to be able to invent. It's going to be about holistic thinking, about creativity, about the mindset, right? The future mindset, being able to understand and shape the future. Cultivate character, personality, right? Not just logic and IQ, EQ, right? Emotional quotient, not just IQ. That's going to come together and create a really powerful future in our schools when we have the bandwidth to accommodate it, right? Teaching less subjects and more about life, problems, projects, holistic thinking. In Finland, you already have schools now teaching projects that involve theory and technology and discussion and politics and beliefs and all of that together, right? That's the kind of thinking that we need, a holistic way of looking at the future. Also different kinds of degrees, maybe less grades and more sort of readiness certificates or project-based things, where we make up things, where we invent things. Right? Pursue the flow. Right? Being in the flow means you can get what you need when you need it, not download just in case. For example, memorizing all of Wikipedia, which a machine can instantly do, would be very helpful. But we need it to be just in time, so we can just look it up. Right? I mean, yes, it's important to have basic knowledge, of course. I mean, I'm a futurist, that's what I strive for, right? But it's about the flow, being able to create things from the flow. That is going to be so essential. And I say in my book, we need to embrace technology, but not become it. So we're going to use virtuality, augmented reality, we're going to learn remotely, we're going to teach remotely. All these things we have to learn. We have to embrace technology in the truest sense of the word, but we should not become technology. We should focus on what we are, not what the machine is. This is a tool, right? Technology is a tool, not a purpose. We're using technology for a purpose that we have to define. So the telos, the Greek word wisdom, right? That is ultimately what we strive. And of course, happiness is not a technological accomplishment. Right? We're not going to find happiness on the screen. It's something that we find in ourselves. So, awesome humans on top of amazing science and technology. That's the ticket to the future. This is what we must teach kids. This is what kids have to learn. This is why we have to redo our curriculum and think about how we get this out to people and kids so that we understand which way they're going and what the opportunity is. So last year I made a film about this called The Good Future. It's not just about education, but it's at thegoodfuturefilm.com. You can watch it there. One key statement again from my good friend Buckminster Fuller, right? We are to be architects of the future, not its victims. We don't want our kids to be victims of the future. We want them to shape the future, to understand the future, to make the future. We want them to flourish. We don't want to accept that our kids will not have a good future. And this is what we need to get ready, and for them to get ready for the good future. So thanks very much for listening, and thanks for your time. And here's my book, Technology versus Humanity. You can find it pretty much everywhere in 10 different languages. And now I want to get your questions, and we're going to switch back and have a conversation and get to the bottom of it. Thanks very much for tuning in.
Wow, that was actually intense and very inspiring, and I'm very excited to have here with me live now Gerd. Gerd, welcome, and thank you very much for this amazing and truly inspiring keynote address.
Thank you, Koleva.
So you should know that we have received so many beautiful reactions from the audience, and I'm just gonna like walk you through the comments. So Ariana Blazic said that the future belongs to the optimists. I love it and truly believe it. There is also another beautiful comment. Let's create the future that we want by Anita Simag. Let's do it together responsibly. You have inspired a lot of people, that's like very obvious. But then we have some other questions that might be a little bit challenging. So let's begin with a question that comes from Angela Soare, which says, Mr. Gerd, do you consider that the Alpha generation requires special education methods? Could you offer us some ideas?
Which generation?
The Alpha generation.
Oh, the Alpha. Okay, yes, of course. I mean, basically, we're moving into a world where most of the kids are now growing up. They have never known a time when they're not online. If you're my age, or even if you're 40 or 45, you remember what it was like not to be connected. And now we're moving into a world where everything is connected. I mean, not just your phone, but your wrist, your clothes, everything, right? And I think this is going to require a different approach. And I think this approach has to be to say we use technology to its fullest extent to make it more frictionless, more affordable, faster, more efficient. But there are things about learning and education that are between humans. And we should not do away with that just because we can go to the metaverse or wear virtual reality or something, right? I mean, education is very much like what humans do with, eating or talking to each other or, connecting to nature. This is something that makes us human, right? And so we should remember that this is crucial, is to use technology and embrace it, but not become technology.
Thank you very much. Then we have one more question coming from Jacinta Foggy. How can we cope with this? And I think that she means like the future, not to speak about the million of kids who do not have water at the moment. And she asks, is the new school only for us, the lucky ones?
Actually, I think it's the other way around. I think what is happening is that because of technology and because of what we can do here, these are the opportunities for developing countries. And yes, they are behind now. And in some places in Africa, you don't have toilets or running water, but you do have a mobile phone, right? Which is a kind of an aberration, I suppose, right? But I mean, the way that progress is coming in all different ways is undescribable if you're looking at, for example, Brazil or India or Indonesia, or so I believe that this is actually sort of an entryway, as I was saying earlier. It's not that the doors are closing, they are opening, and part of that process is painful because quite clearly, just like climate change, in order for us to have a good future, we're going to end up having to help and pay for the southern part of the globe, right? The South, to actually do things that we have taken for granted, right? So it's sharing of the resources, licensing material, helping them to actually get and to do away with the digital divide, right? This is the number one thing. I mean, to be connected is not the end all and be all. It's not the holy grail, but this is where a lot of things start, right? And you can say that roughly by 2030, 90% of the world will be connected, and much of it will be either kind of free, more or less, or totally affordable. And that's where everything is going. So, we have to prepare for that and think about what that means.
Very nice. We have here, and I think, a very scared, very afraid teachers asking, will teaching jobs be taken by machines and AI?
There's what's called the Moravec paradox. It's a famous researcher from Hungary on robotics, and he keeps saying that whatever is easy for a human is hard for a computer, and vice versa. I think that's going to be true for at least another 30 years until we have quantum computing and the singularity, and that's a whole different discussion. That's another session right there, right? But for the time being, the human-only things, which is compassion, empathy, emotions, foresight, negotiation, all of these things, those are human things that humans do very easily and are very difficult for computers. Like, a computer can read all of Wikipedia in 60 seconds and have it memorized, but it doesn't know a single thing in Wikipedia what it actually means. It just knows the zeros and ones, right? So I'm not so worried about that. I think teachers need to get with the tools and use the tools efficiency. I always say that basically a teacher that uses AI and technology will probably beat the teacher that does not, right? But they will still be a teacher in all of those instances.
Of course, and one of the participants, Eva Kajek, actually agrees with you because she mentioned, we are people, not machines. We have imagination, emotions, and they're very important in education in general.
Well, let me put this very clearly.
Sure.
I think the difference between humans and machines, right? We are conscious. We are also spiritual beings, right? We have human agency, and we would never want a robot to have human agency, right? That's also just not required because we just want them to do the job, right? What matters between humans is engagement, experiences, relationships, right? That's what drives us. You know, we're not subject to having a LAN cable or a data feed, you know, coming to us to be happy, right? Happiness is not contained on a screen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. And then we have one more, we have like some more like questions for you. So a teacher asks, you presented us with a very positive image about the future. You actually said the future is better than you think. A lot of people tend to see the future as something dystopic. According to you, how can education help us avoid a dystopia and set a trajectory towards a utopia?
Yeah, you know, what we really want is what Kevin Kelly calls a protopia, right? The utopia is something that we never reach. It's an ideal nirvana type thing, right? The dystopia is not what we want. What we want is a protopia, which is a stepwise approach into the good future. And really what we need education to do is to start a new narrative. You know, the narrative of saying the future has amazing potential. There's a few things that we must do here, right? But we're not short of tools, right? We're not short of science or technology. We're short of wisdom, and we're short of collaboration, and we're short of humanness. You know, we're not short of tech, right? We have more than we can ever handle. What education needs to do is to create hope, and part of that is the current result of social media, for example, is, you know, bad things get amplified on social media 6 to 8 times over good things. That's why I think the demise of democracy in some countries is probably because of social media, right? We're hearing all this bad stuff, you know, and so we need to get our kids off of these channels and say, you know, there's other things happening that you're just not being told about.
Thank you again for this answer. You also stressed during the keynote that educators need to empower imagination. What can actually educators do to empower imagination and love for the future in their students?
You know, I think these are personality traits that everybody has. And it may get beaten out of us, you know, in certain ways when we go to the wrong place or the wrong job, right? But we are all thinkers. We all have imagination. We all fabricate. We do things. We're inventors, right? This is what humans do. And so educators need to bring out this part of being human by allowing people to ask, you know, bizarre questions or experimenting and, of course, failure, right? Imagine a classroom project where you would say, we're not going to study French or English now. We're going to study climate change for 3 months, and we're going to look at all the pieces of this equation, like they do in Finland already in some schools, you know, basically problem-based. And part of that is to create something out of this project, right? And that really gets people thinking, and they can construct something and not just memorize things for later, right? So to get imagination going is really what we need to be doing, and to get away from the downloading of stuff, you know, so that we can use it on the job later.
Of course, and let me here also like add that eTwinning actually is also the perfect tool to encourage imagination and fostering imagination in the kids through the collaboration between countries. Okay, another question is, because we are talking about an impending change or a perma change, as you said, and this change will actually like affect also the structure of education. What can we do in order to smoothen this transition, in order like no one to be left out? Do you think that this is possible, no one to be left out?
Well, this is a policy question. I mean, what we've been doing so far, we've been increasing the digital divide, for example, in COVID. That's a very bad idea. If we want people to study and have the tools for studying, we have to make it equal, right? Which means putting money aside for those that are underprivileged and in lesser positions. And the perma change affects everybody. But the brutal thing is that the lower you are on the ground towards sort of commodity jobs, the harder you get hit by automation. So basically, if you're welding machines or car parts or so, yes, a robot will take your job, right? But if you check out in the supermarket in a small city, unlikely, because people want a person to talk to, right? So I think we really have to get used to this idea of perma-change and perpetual VUCA, as people call it. That's our future, and we have to help each other to invent, to resist, to learn the right things, and to also encourage each other. That's what school is supposed to be doing, is to say that, enable us to invent and to create our future.
True. Thank you very much again one more time. And then, as you know, the theme for this year is our future, beautiful, sustainable together, eTwinning and the new European Bauhaus. Which keyword of the three ones that I have already mentioned, beautiful, sustainable together, is more important for you?
I like the Bauhaus equation. That's definitely I think if I could call it beautiful, I think that would get me most excited, because beautiful is beyond machines. It's a very subjective thing. It's not like the best or the fastest, or, it's just beautiful. And I think this, if we get this right, we could indeed have a beautiful future. If we make the right decisions today to actually push in the right direction. And I think we're pretty well on the way here in Europe with making a lot of good decisions that will potentially create this kind of protopia.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much one more time. I think that we keep having questions from you. So give me one second. Well, yeah, for instance, Silvana also asked more or less the same question. Will our schools be successful to promote the needed changes? But you have answered this more or less.
Well, if I can chime in there, I think it's really important that the teachers and the public institutions that provide education, right, that they get with the program, that we basically, the teacher has to get future ready, right, so that the student can get future ready. And for the teacher to get future ready, we need those that run those organizations, and of course the politicians and public civil society to develop this, what I call a future mindset, right? I mean, if you cannot answer the question, what does your job look like in 5 years, and what are the new jobs in 10 years? You need to get more future ready and read more about this. And I always say 1 hour a day in the future saves your career, saves your family, right? Saves you from becoming sort of to be sort of outmoded, right?
Thank you very much, Gerd, for this amazing discussion. Unfortunately, we really need to move on. And I think I might email you all these questions at one point.
Please do. Happy to reply.
Thank you very much one more time.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Now it's time to close this first part of the first of the official opening of the conference. And just some small advice and indications for the registered participants. Like last year, we have prepared for you a virtual exhibition hall on the annual theme of 2022. Also, please, during these days, pay attention to the emails and the information you will be receiving during the days of this conference. In there, you will find info about your workshops as well as the networking activity. And thank you very much for being with us. And thank you very much for staying with us until now. Take a 15-minute break and be back for the eTwinning Annual Prize Award Ceremony presented by Irini Pateraki. Have a very good evening from me.
So, welcome back. I think you had a nice break and now you are with us because the prize ceremony this year as well is part of the annual conference Imagining Education in the Future, Beautiful, Sustainable, Together. That started a little bit earlier with a really nice and very interesting plenary session and continues over the next 2 days. I'm sure that we are still having all the people and even more are joining, more teachers connected from all our eTwinning countries and are here to celebrate with us the winners of the eTwinning Awards 2022. This year we are in our studio in Brussels and I'm very pleased because I'm not alone. I'm not alone anymore because I have here the representatives from the European Commission that are going to congratulate and award our winners this year. I would like here to tell you that I want your help and I'm sure I will have your help. So you can use the chat in YouTube that I already saw that you did it and you were commenting very vividly during the plenary session, but we also have another hashtag that you can see it in your screen and you can use it to tweet and to share your thoughts and of course send your congratulations to our winners. We're an online community, right? And we know how to support each other and how to celebrate together our big achievements. Tonight, we will see the prize winners of 2022. And we are going to award 5 main categories, starting from our new category, Initial Vocational Education and Training, continue it with the Early Childhood Education and Care Prize, and finishing with the older category, 16 to 19 years old students. We will connect with many countries around Europe and beyond to meet the protagonist teachers. They really deserve a big applause for all their work and their motivation. Tonight, we may award individual teachers, but this recognition gives the opportunity to all community to benefit and get new ideas for your projects. All prizes are funded by the European Commission. This year, we received 1,824 applications, which is actually double the number we had last year. It's amazing. These projects were evaluated by 3 juries, the national support organizations, the European jury, and finally the grant jury, composed of European Commission representatives and pedagogical experts. The evaluation focused on 5 main criteria: collaboration between partner schools, use of ICT, pedagogical approaches, curricular integration, results and documentation. Tonight, although we already know their names, we will meet the winners, learn some more information about the projects and celebrate. So, without further delay, let's officially open the prize ceremony 2022. This year, we introduced a new category for projects that take place in initial vocational education and training schools and deal with vocational subjects. And I would like here to ask you, I hope that we are having teachers that they are working in a vocational school. And I would like to use the hashtag that I already shared with you and you can still see it in the screen. What are the main benefits and challenges you face while you are implementing an eTwinning project? It was very interesting and we are going to see later all the results and what you are writing there, but I would really like to have your opinion about that. And as you are writing, I hope, I would like now to introduce the winning project for the initial vocational education and training, SAGE Solutions Against Greenhouse Effect, Erasmus+. I think that if you haven't seen it, it will be a good opportunity to learn a bit more about the projects, about this project. So we have prepared a really nice video. Let's watch it together.
SAGE is a 2-year Erasmus Plus project. The first year was focused on the understanding of the greenhouse effect, what are the causes of this effect and the consequences of this greenhouse effect.
First, we check data about temperature, about stormy weathers, about how many rain dropped down to our countries.
And in the second year, we tried to look for some solutions. We made many scientific activities, measurements, analysis. All this was part of the curriculum of the students. We did some statistics calculations, for example. So all these activities, this part of the eTwinning project, improved the knowledge of the students.
There were many workshops related to global warming and different solutions to reduce this problem. There were also an exchange between peers from other European countries. For second part of this project, we will research solutions against global warming in different groups.
We did our greenhouses, so our students, they are primary students, they make some plans for greenhouse in wood or in metal.
eTwinning projects help to motivate students in their work, especially vocational students who very often need practical activities to really understand what they are studying.
The most interesting part of SAGE, for me it was building of greenhouse, because it was outside and in relation with mechanics.
Before the project, we made an evaluation of the knowledge and of the sensibility of the students regarding the problem of the greenhouse effect. And at the end of the project, we made another evaluation to see how they improved in their knowledge.
After the project, I became a mentor at my primary school to a group of, children who compete in a Full competition, which is basically a Lego robotics with an Arduino component, which I learned from Erasmus here. So I can really help them greatly just from the experiences I gathered on this exchange.
I have never done any Erasmus project before, so it was an opportunity to me to learn a lot of soft skills and be more comfortable in English.
They find out why they are learning foreign languages. Also, they find out different cultures, different habits.
It was an opportunity to get to know other cultures, education systems, and other lifestyles. And this project improved my confidence and showed me that we are not limited to Slovenia, but also abroad is an option for study or for a job.
eTwinning changed my school life a lot. I start to think differently. We use now technology in a classroom much more than in the beginning. Students use this technology now more confidently. They are more confident in themselves.
It's rather easy to implement eTwinning projects in vocational schools, since we are kind of used to work in project pedagogy with my colleagues here in my school. Also, this gives us some other ideas with the foreign partners.
I hope to work perhaps someday in a global corporation which will probably need me to know how to cooperate with other people from other countries. So I believe this prepared me greatly. So yeah, that's all.
So I'm very happy to welcome here with us Mr. Michael Toitz, Head of Unit in the European Commission, Directorate General for Education, Youth, Sport and Culture. Welcome, it's really nice. And let's welcome together our winners from Slovenia and France. Congratulations. Mr. Toitz, the floor is yours.
Yeah, congratulations to the winners and actually all the winners. Really happy to be here. This is always one of the highlights of the year, to see all these fantastic projects, and I'm very, very happy that we start with the vocational education and training schools. It's a new category, and it's really fantastic to see what they have done, but in general also to give visibility to what vocational schools are doing. And when we see the project, what we have seen in the video, I mean, they did exactly what ministers of education discussed, what can be done about climate education and promoting sustainability just a few months ago. So I was very, very happy to see this. I'm very happy to be here with you and to listen to you and to see you. So the question I had is a bit, I mean, if you tell us a bit, we've seen in the video your students were very, very active. We saw one student which afterwards even went coaching other younger students. They've done very sophisticated work like coding an app, and they did some manual work building a greenhouse themselves, giving it a real concrete form. Well, how did you manage to get the students on board, and what did they tell you afterwards about all this?
They were very happy to be active, to go outside the classrooms, to do all these activities. And also, of course, they were happy to communicate with other students in Europe. And this exchange was very fruitful for them. And for us, of course.
Well, that's very modest you are. So it's and they did. I mean, it was very. They learned. I understood they learned a lot about basics. I mean, they learned about mathematics or digital, and also I was impressed the international dimension of the cooperation. So they learned about mathematics, so in real knowledge and basic skills, but also how to apply it and how to learn it together in a group.
All they learned was in our curriculum. We just found a way to apply what they are usually learning. And thanks to eTwinning, that was a very a fun way to apply all this knowledge that they usually learn at school. So that's why I love to do projects, to do eTwinning projects, to have this possibility to enrich our lessons.
Thank you very much both. Congratulations once again. And
thank you.
Now we will start with the younger category. Early childhood education and care, students up to 6 years old. And we have the runner-up project, Engineers of the Ecosystem. But I think we all want to see what these young students did in this eTwinning project. So let's go to watch the video.
Projemiz doğayla uyumlu mühendislik hakkında öğrencilerimizi bilinçlendirmeyi amaçlamaktadır. Mühendislik zekaları ve mimarlık tasarımlarıyla bizlere her zaman örnek olan mühendis hayvanların arı, dokumacı kuş ve kunduzun yuvalarını ekolojik malzemeler kullanarak sistem çalışmalarıyla yeniden tasarladık. Böylece doğaya uyumlu evlerini keşfetmiş olduk. Ardından kendimiz için onların evlerinden ilham alarak ekolojik evler tasarladık.
Primeramente realizamos una fase de presentación en la que el alumnado se conoció, conocimos a nuestros socios y socias del proyecto, presentamos nuestras escuelas y después creamos un lugar en común, realizamos alguna actividad de conocimiento de los grupos, de los diferentes grupos. Seguidamente realizamos una fase de orientación en la que ya comenzamos a realizar las diferentes actividades. Sobre todo, primeramente trabajamos toda la parte de educación ambiental, energías renovables, agricultura sostenible y ecología. Y finalmente, la última fase fue la fase de concretar los resultados del proyecto a través de los resultados finales.
Yaptığımız çalışmalarla tüm canlıların evi olan dünyamızın geleceğinin hepimizin elinde olduğunu gördük. Doğayla uyumlu mühendislik hakkında öğrencilerimizi küçük yaşta bilinçlendirerek onların doğaya karşı daha duyarlı olmalarını sağladık.
Alma y Edgar.
¿Qué es lo que hicisteis en el proyecto del año pasado?
Hicimos para las abejas una casita, hicimos para los pajaritos para que coman, hicimos una casa de castores.
El alumnado de educación infantil se siente muy atraído por los temas que tienen que ver con los animales, y a través de pequeñas charlas y momentos en asamblea de hablar sobre estos problemas de cambio climático y de ecología, cómo pueden verse afectados por las inclemencias de la mano del hombre.
Çocuklarımız bu proje ile iklim değişikliğinin hepimiz için ortak bir sorun olduğunu ve bunun için neler yapabileceğimizi, ekolojik malzemelerin farkındalığını, doğayla uyumlu mühendisliğin nasıl olabileceğini, sürdürülebilir tarım, çevre eğitimi, geri dönüşüm, yenilenebilir enerji hakkında birçok bilgiye sahip oldular.
Konumuzda iyi bir mimar ve mühendis olduklarını öğrendim ve kendimi severek konumuz evimi yaptım. Araterini tasarlayıp arkadaşlarıma sunmak heyecan vericiydi.
Fue un proyecto muy intenso porque estuvimos trabajando de octubre a mayo y realizamos muchas actividades, pero como actividad más motivadora creo que fue la casa ecológica, que era la actividad como un poco estrella y colofón final de nuestro proyecto, en el que integramos todos los conocimientos que estuvimos aplicando, sobre todo pues cómo que podía tener una casa ecológica, aplicar las energías renovables, el uso del reciclaje. Creo que fue una actividad estrella con el alumnado y les gustó mucho realizarla.
¿Y qué tenía esa casa del futuro?
Cama, placa solar, flores, árboles, energía solar.
Öğrencilerimizin üzerindeki etkisi farklı okul ve ülkelerdeki yaşıtlarıyla ortak bir amaç doğrultusunda çalışmayı ve işbirliği yapmayı, farklı kültürleri tanımalarını, teknolojiyi verimli bir şekilde kullanmalarını sağladı.
A través de diferentes proyectos eTwinning he podido trabajar la autonomía personal con alumnos de infantil, sobre todo de 4 a 6 años, permitiéndoles poder realizar actividades de ensayo y error, de experimentación.
Öğrencilerimize katkısı, ortak bir amaç için beraber çalışmayı, işbirliği yapmayı, farklı ülkeleri tanımalarını, her ay tasarımlarımızı sunmak için yaptığımız görüşmelerde farklı sınıfları ve yaşıtlarını görmelerini ve bu sayede kendilerini ifade edebilme becerilerinin gelişmesini sağladı.
So, welcome with us. We have Mrs. Cécile Leclerc, Senior Expert in the European Commission Directorate General for Youth Sport, Education, Youth Sport and Culture. I missed one, I'm sorry. And let's welcome with us and congratulate our runner-ups from Poland, Spain and Turkey. Mrs. Leclerc, the winners, the runner-ups are yours.
Well, really, I would like to congratulate you all. This was such a clever and fun idea, starting with the animals, housing, and then developing it with your very young students. It was a way to address a very serious issue, sustainability, which is one of our political priorities, at a very early age. And we were very impressed by the variety of collaborative tools that you used for this project. I mean, there was this paper dance, which was absolutely adorable, then collaborative book, poster, logo, even a video conference. Really, it was amazing. My question is that you carried out this project during a very difficult time, which was COVID-19 time. So part of the project was when people and students were in some schools that were closed. So how did you manage to continue the project in those circumstances? And also, I'm curious to hear how the families and the parents were involved or interested by the project.
Well, last year we lived difficult moments because one part of our team, mostly in Turkey, they were confined the most part of our project. Then we have the collaboration of all of the parents of the school. Then they could continue the classes online, and they help us to continue our project very well. And in our case, in Poland and Spain, we continued in our classes and we could follow the normal activities with our students. But it was very nice and interesting to have the support of families because if not, this project could not be possible.
So congratulations as well to the parents from us.
Yes, yes, and the schools, yes.
And thank you to you all, really, congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you all. And now, let's go to the winning project in the age category up to 6 years old. But before we go there, I suppose we also have kindergarten teachers in our audience. And I would like to ask you a question that actually I know the answer because I used to work as a kindergarten teacher. Many kindergarten teachers are asking me, is collaboration possible really among young pupils? I know the answer and I know you know the answer, but maybe you can use this hashtag and share an example to show that yes, it's possible, and we see all these nice projects that prove that. So now we go to the winners, as I said, in the age category up to 6 years old, STEAM Preschool Academy. So, STEAM, do you want to see what these young students did? Let's watch the video.
STEAM education combines 5 subjects into a blended learning environment. So adding humanity, drama, and visual arts, students have the opportunity to use scientific method in their everyday life.
Kõigepealt tahtsin öelda, et selline projekt andis meile väljakutse ja võimalus näitada meie laste võimalused ja nende teadmised STEAM valdkonnas. Selle projekti kaudu meie lapsed õppisid koos teiste lastega teha ühesugused muinasjutud. Me kirjutasime koos lood ja panime pärast programmeerime robotid ja tegime sellest step by step kaudu sellised lood, et B-botid sõitsid ühele poole ja teisele poole ja selleks tuli meil mingile muinasjut ja iga meie partner.
We had a pro bono robotic kit. Using this kit, we had the opportunity to inspire ourselves and create an environment where students can actively interact with each other to learn new things about other cultures.
En çok karşılıklı öğrenme içinde olmamızı sevdim. Uygulayarak öğrenmenin beni mutlu ettiğini keşfettim. Yeni arkadaşlar edinmek benim için çok heyecanlıydı.
Meie tegevused olid nii mõeldud, et igakuune tegevus oli planeeritud ja lastega koos me ootasime ja lahendasime ülesannet. Kõige tähtsam asi oli meil, et me kasutasime taaskasutuses materjalis tegime roboti ja sellega robotiga me tegime erinevad mängud. Lastele väga meeldis ja nad said palju teada selles, et kuidas me saame energiat näiteks, et on olemas erinevad võimalused, kuidas seda energiat võtta ja kuidas me võime säästa meie maailma.
Что ты делал в проекте STEM?
Программировали беботов, искали пропавшие вещи, открывали новые города, строили из лего-кубиков свой город.
Τι ήταν αυτό που σου άρεσε πιο πολύ στο πρόγραμμα?
Η ρομποτική.
Για ποιο λόγο σου άρεσε?
Γιατί φτιάχναμε ρομποτάκι.
Ήθελες να πεις κάτι άλλο για το πρόγραμμα?
Ναι. Ότι πέρα από αυτό μπορούσαμε να φτιάξουμε και τα κορίτσια ρομποτάκι.
As we belong in the preschool level, we have a lot of flexibility and it is easy for us to focus on the needs and the interests of students, trying to integrate things that they want to know in a more scientific way. This helps students to apply new skills and their ideas in their everyday life.
Что тебе больше всего понравилось в этом проекте? Ты научилась чему-то новому? Чему ты научилась?
Я научилась
So we had many results because all the project was based on missions and challenges that we shared. And at the end, we could combine STEAM education with culture. We could talk about our places, our sites, and by using robotics and of course all the other subjects like science and technology and mathematics.
Minu jaoks eTwinning annab mulle võimalus koguda ideed erinevatest inimestest ja ikkagi võin enda ideed jagada teistega. Annab mulle võimalused laiendada enda vaate. Lastele saan näitada, et me oleme mitte ainult Eestis, aga meil on kõigepealt rohkem inimesi elavad maailmas ja me oleme selline osa.
Ты чему-то научился новому в этом проекте? Чему ты научился? Умничка. Ты нашел себе новых друзей в проекте?
Mrs. Leclerc, let's welcome together our winners from Estonia, Greece, Slovakia, Spain, and Turkey. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations to you all for this very impressive project. And of course, you got the prize. We were very impressed by the series of interconnected activities that you managed to do and the variety of collaborative tools. Also, it was shown in the video that you got inspiration for new ideas. You presented your very young students with these new ideas. And what I also found and was shown in the video and they shared in the word cloud, it's these words: friends, happiness, sharing experience, Europe. So it is also about broadening horizon, and this is something we like to do in eTwinning in addition to the activities of the project themselves. My question to you would be about the challenges you had among partners, students. They were promoted in a very creative and successful way, and it was a very successful means of interaction. How did you work on that? How did you manage to have such an active and effective collaboration between the students? Can you give us an example of this? Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you very much for your question. As we all know, STEM education is an adventure and a great challenge. The most important part is the journey and not the destination, but even when you find the destination, you understand that this is not the end, but the beginning of a new adventure. So respecting all the perspectives and of course all the ideas, we had the opportunity to collaborate successfully and of course create a positive climate among the teachers and of course the students and the parents. And this way we were all very close with the local community. Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations again.
Thank you very much. And I think now it's time to go to our next age category for students 7 to 11 years old. And we will start with the runner-ups project Around the World with Friends. So I think they traveled, but how, what they did? Are you curious? I am. So let's watch the video to learn a bit more.
Around the World with Friends is a project which we worked on during a very difficult school year for all of us.
The aim of the project was to teach English and ICT following the adventures of Phileas Fogg, the Jules Verne main character of Around the World in 80 Days.
Students were reading the book, a very simple version of the book in English. They not only improved the reading skills, but also the knowledge about different countries, about geography.
We were following Phileas Fogg, so Phileas Fogg visited many countries, and the challenge of the children were to get the stamps to put in a passport. We prepare a passport, we prepare a suitcase. They went to Egypt, they got the stamp, they got an information card, they learn how to work in groups. And it's one of the things when I ask them that they most like to work with other children, to work in groups. What's the difference between a normal class and an eTwinning one?
We do different and more fun activities, and the activities have a real meaning. For example, we introduce ourselves to children we don't know, so we can practice in a real way.
And we also work with students from other countries. We learn from their customs, culture, and we learn to respect differences.
Writing letters to friends, quizzes, escape room, coloring pictures, and postcards from different countries. It was also very interesting to create illustrations for the book. I like to read. Maybe soon I will be reading in English without any problems.
It's better to work with friends, to work in groups, because we learn more.
We learn to use ICT tools because all the work is done through the computer.
We speak English better because we use the language to work with our friends.
Students also had the opportunity to know some pieces of art from different countries, actually from our countries, from Poland and Spain, and from the countries visited by Mr. Fogg on their way. And it was very funny because for some of them, actually for most of them, it was first time when they saw so many different styles of art. It was very funny for sometimes for them. My students loved Warhol's art with the cans of different soups or something like that. It was very funny for them.
They enjoy a lot in meeting new people, and they could see that around the world, in this case, that in Poland, there are children like them, that they have the same, more or less the same ideas, the same likes and dislikes, and that they can talk with them as they talk with the ones in their class.
We wanted to show them that every country has something different. We are different. This is the beauty of the world, of the countries, that each of the country has something special.
So, Mr. Deutsch, let's welcome together our teachers from Poland and Spain. Congratulations. Mr. Deutsch.
Thank you.
Congratulations, really. I love this project. Not only, but partially because this book that you've used there, the 80 Days Around the World by Jules Verne, Phileas Fogg, was one of my favorite ones when I had the age of your children. So I liked it really a lot to see it again. I saw it in a theater also some time ago here in Brussels. But my question is not about that. My question is to see, it was great to see you try to teach English and ICT using this novel by Jules Verne. We've seen all the fun the students had, the way they learned together what they learned about Poland, about Spain, about Egypt, of course. It's a fantastic project. But how did you link your project with the curriculum that you also have and that you have to follow in your school every year? So how did you link this very special event with the normal teaching objectives that you have?
Okay, in our English classes, we usually we speak, we write, we draw, we listen to English. So it was quite easy because with the book we read it, we wrote the story again, we listened to the story they spoke. We record again the book with their own words. So we could work all the English curriculum with the book and with the presentations. And I always say that it's much motivating to introduce oneself to a person that one doesn't know, that do the same introduction, the same the same activity with a person that you meet every day in your class. So it's very motivating to see how they interact with, in this case, with our Polish friends.
And to see, well, they're very modest, your students, to see how they learned English was really impressive. So really congratulations, and to see the enthusiasm. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I think it's time now to go to the winners of the age category 7 to 11 years old. And the project eTwinners as pros. And as I already know a bit the project, I'm really surprised how much the students were involved in this project. Don't you want to see what it was about before we see the protagonists? I think you do. Let's watch the video.
eTwinners as Pros is a multidisciplinary project. The information we have available to us now for helping students find their career paths is often staggering and overwhelming. This project really aimed to help them with presenting them with choices of jobs and careers.
We asked them to select topics they would like to do related to professions, and they could create and design activities, even evaluations too. We decided to give the opportunity to students throughout the students' agency to be involved in the creation of the project.
I will always remember that the suggestions for topics we had made at the beginning of the school year were actually turned into project activities. It's strange how we started with a course book and ended up doing something creative and fun.
So it gave 11-year-olds the opportunity to take on different professional roles, not only studying through their course books, but browsing online resources to acquire knowledge on various topics ranging from technological innovations, cars, books, computer animations, even space, the celestial bodies, traditional games, and recipes.
For eTwinners as pros, we pretended to be professionals and we experimented with materials, sports and recipes from other countries. I found it very interesting when we learned about our solar system.
The importance of the student agency is that they are involved in all the projects with their interest. Then to do this, we use different types of tools. We open discussion threads in the twin space, and they could speak about the different activities they wanted to do.
The difference between an eTwinning class and a normal class is that in a normal class you sit in a classroom and you have books, and in an eTwinning class I met new people from other countries, I played new activities and games, and I really enjoyed it.
Media literacy was one of the annual themes. We thought it was important that our students know the meaning of this. Which rules or which tips do they have to use when they are surfing internet or exchanging information through the cloud? We work about the fake news. When we've got this, they prepare two rules they thought they were important to follow, rules or tips. And in the peer teaching sessions, one of them, they explain the importance of being good digital citizens.
As for media literacy, because it is so important for us digital natives, we had organized peer teaching sessions. Now, I remember being very stressed when we were doing our first one, but since we had prepared very well, we were able to get through it.
With regards to collaboration, that is definitely the core principle of every project. All of the students then studied resources and shared materials in transnational groups.
I really enjoyed the eTwinning project because
We could play sports from different countries around Europe, and I really enjoyed the workshops because we made different dimensions.
The students really responded well to this kind of collaboration. They were very enthusiastic and they were very happy to feel a part of a huge community. Not only did they get to practice speaking in English, but they soon discovered no matter what differences there are, they're insubstantial compared to all the common factors that bind each other.
Let's welcome now our winners from Croatia, Greece and Spain. And congratulations, Mr. Toits.
Yeah, congratulations also from me. I mean, to see this video, to see what we saw there about student agency, about collaboration, about technology, absolutely fantastic and going really far beyond the individual subjects. Actually, two aspects I wanted to ask you about. I mean, the one thing is you put the students at the center of everything that you said there. How did you manage to make them become so active and to mobilize them? It was really fantastic to see all this energy there. And the second thing, you managed to make them work across different subjects, really this interdisciplinary work. That's also something I would really like to know a bit better, how you managed to do that, because it's really fascinating.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that this project was an amazing adventure. It was an educational collaboration that was a joyous experience, not only for the pupils, but also for all the participants, the teachers as well. When the students were given the opportunity to suggest and steer the learning process, they became responsible for choosing all the topics and activities. So this student agency was the core driver in our project. And I have to admit, it made all of us so proud seeing how engaged and creative all our students were and all the commitment they put into the project. We fully believed that when pupils claim responsibility and take control of their learning, then the sense of accomplishment and achievement that they feel with each end result, to them, it means the world, and it is phenomenal. So this project was active learning in the best possible sense. So you asked, how did we manage to get them engaged? It was, in a lot of respects, very easy because a lot of emphasis was put on their choices, what they wanted to do. We were there as motivators to kind of help them along, nudge them a little bit. But there wasn't all that much need to really push them because it was just such a wonderful experience altogether. All these different fields, different professions. It was just great.
We confirm, absolutely fantastic. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all the partners that are there in the audience with me and to all my eTwinning colleagues. Thank you for this award.
Thank you very much. And I said earlier, you're eTwinning school, so student agency is part of our eTwinning schools, and that's great that you do it in your projects. And I think now it's time to go to our next age category, 12 to 15 years old. And we will start with the runner-ups project On the Edge. Let's watch first a short video to learn a bit more about the project before we meet our teachers.
The overall idea is to make students challenge themselves. That's why we had chosen this name, On the Edge. We decided to have international teams. We wanted them to develop their English skills, their communication skills, not to be afraid to express themselves. That was our goal.
Students worked together. There was in each team there was students from every country. We wanted to greet Europeans. And we think that on the edge was a door to unknown, and students only need to open it and find new possibilities for their lives.
They learned how to respect other ideas, different ideas. They learned how to adapt to different environments, especially when they went abroad. We did many visits, workshops. We had guests. Students did many experiments. They learned how to work in teams.
I lived with other people from other countries. We shared experiences and opinions, and it was an experience that brought me a different view of the world and that added more responsibility in my daily life.
In Portugal we have art and music. In Romania we had maths and science. In Poland, biology and environment. In Germany, sport and technology. In Finland, culture and nature. In Greece, European culture and history.
Our methodology was to link, to connect learning to real world. And to do so, we went on visits, we called experts to our classrooms via Skype, via any other virtual tool.
If I had to say a specific difference between a normal classroom and an eTwinning classroom, it would come down to the collaboration between the students and the teacher. And that is just something that you don't see a lot in normal classrooms.
This way, students could see the connection between what they learn at school and its application in the real world.
I learned how to speak English more smoothly. Also, I learned some social skills too. Students from other countries were very nice and funny. We had so much good time together.
We had a very good international cooperation, and eTwinning was a place for collect everything. There is several e-books, town puzzles, other games, technical dictionaries, audio greetings, on the edge song, the calendar, and a lot of online and offline materials. This project was a vehicle for professional development.
Technology is an essential part of eTwinning, any eTwinning project, obviously. We tried to work on security and safety as part of the project as well in all of the countries.
My favorite part of the whole project was when we went around the streets of Greece and the teacher told us about the culture and the activities. It was a brilliant experience thinking about my future. Also, they were lovely and kind to me.
All this kind of projects help students grow their feeling, their sense of belonging to something. So they now think they are more Europeans. They learn to respect each other. Sometimes they have some stereotypes about some countries. And when they work together, they see, oh, that guy is not so different from me. We think alike, we have the same tastes, we play the same games.
On the Edge allowed me to grow as a human being and as a person. And this will be a milestone in my life. And apart from everything we learned, I'm 100% sure me and my colleagues will never forget this wonderful experience we lived and shared with each other.
It's a great pleasure to have with us Mrs. Florence Modin, Head of Unit in the Executive Agency for Education and Culture, Platform Studies and Analysis. Thank you very much, Mrs. Modin. And we have here our teachers from Finland, Greece, Poland, Portugal and Romania. Welcome and congratulations to all of you. Mrs. Modin.
Thank you. Thank you and good evening to all of you who are with us tonight celebrating wonderful eTwinning projects. Dear Manuela, dear teachers, congratulations. This is a really inspiring project. In the video, we heard about mutual understanding, respect, teamwork, development of social skills as well. Well, this is exactly what an eTwinning project is meant for. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for your commitment to the community and to the project. Of course, not all eTwinning projects include a mobility dimension. And it was your case because it was an Erasmus Plus eTwinning project here. I'm actually curious to know if and how online collaboration continued after the mobilities. Would you have any tip to share with us on how to maintain online collaboration after the mobilities?
Okay, thank you for your words. We tried to stay connected even during the pandemic in many different ways. We planned for challenges. For instance, I remember a challenge from Poland to inspire kids to read the Little Prince, for instance. We had the virtual collaboration. We had experiments. I know my colleague Ligia, art teacher, she tried to carry out an interesting activity. She invited an artist to school, and we wanted to collaborate together after that coming to school. We had a collaboration, for instance, in music, creating little melodies together. So I don't really remember everything we did because it was so long ago and such a big project, but we tried to maintain the flame alive in so many different ways, with games, with challenges, and so on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sure that the students also kept wonderful memories of all the activities on site, traveling, online. So thank you very much for that. And congratulations again.
Thank you. Teamwork, if I may, teamwork was one of the main aspects of this project. So when we were in the mobilities, we had just one student per team. And all the countries were represented because we wanted not to challenge them in a way, but also to nurture the collaboration. So in the end, all the countries would be the winners after all the activities that we provided them during the mobilities as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all. And I think now it's time to go to the winning project of the age category 12 to 15 years old, The Disconnect. Dive into social communities or networks, navigating every day completely truthfully. But before we see the protagonists, let's watch a video about the project.
We started off with a little icebreaker saying 2020, how it started, how it ended, and the students prepared comics and pictures and little texts about their experience in 2020.
It was Ike who had this idea of reading also The Disconnected, this novel by Kieran David, which my students really loved.
It was also interesting for them to read the book together and to analyze the book together. And to discuss certain questions, like when you see someone cheating, what would you do? Would you report, or would you confront, or would you ignore it?
We had a series of activities on The Disconnect, just, analyzing, for example, the characters, the settings, the plot. And then in the classrooms, we discussed about it chapter by chapter, and then the students interacted in the forum.
After everybody had read the book, we started discussing about it, discussing certain chapters, behaviors, behavior changes, and it was all about discussing and analyzing the book.
So what was the most important moment of the project, in my opinion, was the video conference, when they really could then see each other, even from distance, and they could interact, and that was fantastic.
My favorite part was when we did the big meeting with all the students taking part in the project.
When you are on an eTwinning class, you get to know many people that have your same age from many different countries, for example, Germany, Spain, or Georgia.
The students were really interested in the different cultures, and we introduced the cultures, of course, first of all, and we had little presentations and films, and played Kahoots on the countries so that they could learn more about the countries, and they were really interested in the exchange on how students in the other countries experienced the pandemic.
I think one of the most important things I've learned is to be open and to see the other side. Because I've seen that sometimes there are cultural differences that we aren't even aware of, that these cultural differences might even be good to see that there are other ways to think. So I think that open-mindedness is one thing that this project has taught me.
For students, it is a window open on Europe, on foreign countries. It is a window open to show different cultures and to have our students really acquire true skills for their lives.
Mrs. Modan, let's welcome together our winners from Georgia, Germany, Italy and Spain. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It's another great project that we've seen now. Thank you very much for that. As it is mentioned, it's actually a window open on Europe. This is words that were used in this video, and this is exactly what an eTwinning project is meant for. So thank you very much for that. I find it also very important that we talk about data protection issues with our teenagers, so well done also for that. I will have a question which is a little bit personal, I mean, in the sense that I'm also a mother. Okay, I work in the European Commission, but I'm also a mother, and I have twins of 13 years old, right?
Yeah.
And you imagine my question. The title of the project was about disconnect.
Yeah.
How did the student react? Did you really manage to disconnect them from TikTok and Instagram? And if so, what is the magic ingredient?
Okay, thank you for the question. That's very interesting because actually some of the students accepted the challenge that the novel, The Disconnect by Ken David, asked the students in the school. Actually, this novel is really a novel about students of the same age in a school where this challenge starts, and the students, of course, they in the end, they win a sum of money. Our students didn't win any money, but they won on critical thinking, on awareness. And what we could see was that talking to each other and working in mixed international teams was the secret, both for improving their motivation and also for improving their knowledge of the correct use of these media, in particular the smartphone. And so that's the secret. The secret was also collaboration within the teachers. And I would like to thank personally my colleagues, Antonia, Aike, Temur, but also Ruzudan, who's not here, and Santiago, because really we met so many times in order to share what we were doing in the classroom at school. And also the video conferences were so important for our students because they could then see each other even from distance. So this was, in my opinion, the extra value of this project. So really something new from the methodological and also from really the approach to the media and to the smartphones in particular.
Thank you. Thank you again, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think now we are going to our last age category, to the older students, 16 to 19 years old. And we will start with the runner-ups of the project, A Speech Which Can Reach. I'm actually very curious. Speech, reach, what they did. Let's watch a video to learn a bit more.
In project Speech Which Can Reach, we focused on English speaking skills, improving English speaking skills, and also critical thinking.
They could learn to cooperate in transnational teams and respect each other's opinions. They could learn to distinguish the truth from false opinions or fake news, and to verify facts and to control sources. And finally, they could learn to debate.
We created forums for 40 benches of 4 students. Each of the students was from another country, so we pushed them to speak only in English this way. During this first meeting, we tried to support them to don't be scared, to share their ideas, to make the internet research together, check the sources of the information which they want to use in those reports. Some of the problems students focused on were about healthcare, for example, bioethics. They were also interested in topics about environment, especially global warming.
I really loved to work with students from all over Europe. Specifically, I loved to be able to meet them in video meetings.
Involving students from different countries make the group or having a much wider perspective into the world issues we were supposed to focus.
When you have so many different people from very different countries all in one room, so to speak, it's really easy to get everybody's ideas, opinions, point of views, and in general you get to understand what is the difference between all the cultures, but also the common terrain that there is between us, the values and the ideas about democracy and whatnot.
Thanks to our project, it improved not only my speaking skills in English, but also it was a great chance to enhance my 21st century skills such as communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and productivity.
In the beginning of the project, some of the students, they had like strong opinions about some of these problems, and their thinking changed in a way that they started to focus on facts more. Some of those things which they thought are true were not true. They were not facts, those were just opinions, and in the end they realized that they should really search for the sources of information. It wasn't only English language and literature, but also civics, humanities, also rhetorics, maybe sociology, politics, conversational classes. We've learned so many thanks to the web tools which me and my partners used, and before the project I didn't know so many web tools that they even exist, so we learned from each other a lot.
If students were able to develop many skills from critical thinking to social skills, teachers definitely enhance collaboration. Some teachers were expert in eTwinning projects, other teachers were absolute beginners. However, all teachers had extensive experience in their field and were constantly ready to support each other.
eTwinning gave me lots of opportunities to connect with teachers from all around Europe. There are so many amazing teachers you can learn from, you can study with, you can get new perspectives. That's the thing which I love the most about eTwinning, that it gives you opportunities. You can create beautiful relationships.
Mrs. Modan, let's welcome and congratulate together our teachers from Croatia, Italy, Slovakia and Turkey. The floor is yours.
Welcome to this ceremony and congratulations for this very good project again. We are talking now about critical thinking, which is a very important topic as well. And it's important to teach students to verify the facts, control the sources, as it was clearly mentioned also in the video. Another dimension of this project was about sharing, speak up, exchange. And as we thought, you have actually touched upon quite hot topics during these eTwinning projects. So we would be keen on understanding, or if you could give us more details on how the debates were organized and moderated, and how did it go? What were the students' feedback about these debates?
Thank you for the prize, first of all. And I would like to say hello to all my partners who are here today. It's nice to see you again, everybody. And back to the question. It wasn't easy to have this debate because there were 160 students in the project, and all of them worked on their speeches very hard. They recorded their videos and also audio recordings of the speeches, and then we just chose the volunteers to join Zoom debate, online debate, and there were like 7 topics they chose in the end and prepared the debate. It wasn't easy, but we managed to do it, and it was great success. Students also could see that it's possible for them to speak online, speak in English, share their ideas, and work on their critical skills.
Thank you, Anna. Well, it was a huge project. In 160 students, you mentioned. Yep. That's a lot to manage. But I understand it was a whole team behind. So
yes, it was a great team behind the whole project, I must say. And I'm thankful to know these people.
Yeah, this can last for longer than the eTwinning project,
yes, of course.
Right? So, okay, thank you very much and congratulations again.
Thank you very much too.
Thank you very much. And I think now it's time to go to our last project, the winning project of the age category 16 to 19 years old, eTw-Train. So it's an eTwinning train, and I suppose they traveled a lot. Before we meet the protagonists, I think we can watch together a video.
eTw-Train is a virtual sustainable railway journey that tackles the annual topic of media literacy, art, slow movement. There was research, there was interaction.
We were searching for something that would compensate our students for the lack of certain opportunities because of the pandemic. So definitely it was connected with the lack of opportunity to travel. So we decided that offering our students the opportunity of getting on a train and starting this virtual trip around Europe would be a great idea. Our students decided on the compartments they wanted to sit in. So they were divided into 10 international teams, and students in the teams concentrated on the different topics.
The part that was really interesting was when we were supposed to working in the different international groups. For example, I joined the artist team. We were supposed to answer the 3 questions, then record ourselves and post it on Flipgrid so others could see us.
Firstly, we got to know each other by sharing our hobbies or interests. We also worked together and share the facts about the countries we live in.
Our students like a lot gamification. We used different breakouts to introduce the games.
Apart from games, we also did creative challenges like I did a fake news detector, and on the other hand, we learned about other realities in the world, and that led us to face discrimination and be more tolerant.
So we did lots of interesting things. For example, I got to update the diary, explaining what we had done that day in class, and we also got to know our partners with different tasks, and at the end we got to make a video call with them.
Definitely our students learned a lot. Every single activity that we did encouraged our students to think, encouraged our students to rethink the lifestyles. Our students became really sensible. The project provided them with a lot of emotions at the same time.
We also did interesting tasks that increased our knowledge about different customs and lifestyles in partner countries. There were lots of different tasks like games, quizzes, puzzles, and other interesting forms of learning that we all enjoyed.
Talking about discrimination, injustice, they could share and they could see that they had the same problems in different countries, or that some things that you would never see in your country were happening somewhere else.
It was a very cooperative project because we get to exchange opinions with other students, and not only with the students in Europe, we also shared our opinions within the class. And also the games that we created in class were used by other students in our school, like younger students or students with difficulties, so we can say that it was a very inclusive project.
The final result was a Google website, and this is where we presented all the achievements, all the stages of our project, everything that we did in the project. Of course, we can also discuss a lot of intangible outcomes, communication skills, collaboration skills, time management, critical thinking, problem solving. So these are all skills and competences that students learned in the project.
I'm really happy that I could participate in that eTwinning project. It's a great experience that you will never forget. I have perfect memories and great new friends.
So let's welcome together our winners in the age category 16 to 19 years old from Austria, Croatia, Czech Republic, Greece, Hungary, Italy, Poland and Spain. Congratulations. Mrs. Leclerc.
Yes, congratulations to you teachers. Really, it was again an amazing project. What a topical idea, what a great offer you made to the students during this very hard time of offering them this virtual travel. In the train, I will read the letters standing for tolerance, R for respect, A for action, I for innovation, and NET for netizen. This was really not only a wonderful idea, but again, it showed, I think, the essence of an eTwinning project that enables different dimensions of learning. One is, of course, learning about the topic, discussing about the content, the knowledge about, and you talked about very serious issues about discrimination, about media literacy. These are very, very important topics. But there's also the dimension of exploring new tools and ways like the gamification, and also learning what I think one of the teachers described as the intangible outcome, the collaborative skills, the communication skills, the critical thinking. I mean, it was very interesting what you said, that students are encouraged to think for themselves in this project. And of course, the last dimension that was mentioned is that they exchange. There is this intercultural learning that we, of course, like to have in European projects. So, last but not least, it was fun. And I like really what the last student said, it's something she will never forget. So my question is about this wonderful project with all these activities, all these topics, media literacy, sustainable tourism, e-safety, fashion, circular economy. How did you combine those with all these so many steps on the European map that we saw in the video? And what was the students' role in this? We've seen students' agency is so important.
Hi, on behalf of all eTw partners, thank you very much. Well, students were motivated because most of them were at home. So that was very important. Okay, so when we gave them tools for what we call innovation, okay, they could build this container that it's not only the building of the European Bauhaus, yes. This is how they could overcome the challenges of change. Right? So in this case, when we talk about tools, they move for mere consumers to creators, and they enjoy it. They enjoy creating games for other students, other schools. They had to play what the others had created. All this came out in 10 international teams. So each of these teams could choose their own topic. Let's say they were interested in research, science, filmmakers. We have different historians. So that's the way we manage them, with all of us facilitating in the international teams.
Thank you. It looks you were really already doing what Gerd Leonhard said we should do in education for the future, with all this learning by doing and student agency. So again, really a big applause to you and to all.
Thank you.
Thank you
all. Thank you, Cecile. The eTwinning Prize ceremony is coming to the end. I would like to thank the European Commission representatives that they were with us in the studio today. We had the opportunity to celebrate together with the winner teachers and maybe also get some ideas for your future projects. You may even would like to contact, I would advise you actually, some of them to start a project together next year. Warm congratulations to all our winners, but also to all eTwinners for your great work and the projects you organize with your students. I'm sure that next year we will award again all the amazing projects you are working this year. And don't forget, actually, when you start a project, while you plan the activities, we have a quality label framework. I'm sure you all know it. And a very nice checklist. So you can check there how you organize your activities, and this will actually help you run nice, creative, collaborative activities where your students take active part and they also contribute with their ideas to the activities. And to be honest, even if you don't receive a quality label or a prize, believe me, it's not a big deal. You always have to keep in mind that what is more important, what is more valuable in eTwinning is the great opportunity you give to your students to meet, to share the European values, to collaborate and create common outcomes with their European peers. I think that actually these are some of the characteristics of the dream school we are talking about. So before we go, I have a last question for you. I would like you to use this hashtag ETW-Prizes 2022, and write, what is the dream school for you? So, good night to all, to the most amazing, creative and supportive community, the eTwinning community. Have all a good night. Bye-bye.